Hey, good day, guys. You know, there's a saying in fishing that goes, when the wind blows from the west, fish bite the best, and when the wind blows from the east, fish bite the least. That's exactly what we're dealing with today. Last night we had a big storm come through. We're up here in the north woods of Wisconsin fishing a big lake full of great multi-species fishing. But with this front coming through and this east wind, it's really shut the desirable fish like the perch and the walleyes and the bass. It's really slowed the bite down a lot. And as a fishing guide, I can't control the weather, so when I have clients that want to go out and catch fish, I turn my focus to northern pike. Now, a lot of people don't like northern pike. They get a bit of a bad rap, and for a couple different reasons. One, they have sharp teeth, and they love to bite expensive fishing lures off. Love to. I lost one yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'd like to have it back, but that's the way it goes. They're also a little slimier than a lot of other fish. And if you've tried to fillet one before, they're extremely bony. They're full of these things called Y bones. So especially the small ones, the ones from, say, 22 inches and smaller, extremely difficult to get meat off of. And therefore, they're really thought of as a nuisance from a lot of people. Just kind of a little terrorist fish, if you will. But we're going to look at northern pike in a different light. I'm going to show you some different things that might change your perspective on it. First and foremost, let's take a moment and look at the tactics and techniques we use to catch these undesirable fish. The equipment I'm using for these pike is really quite similar to, well, it is. It's the same thing I use for a lot of my largemouth techniques, the smallmouth techniques. I'm using bait casting equipment. This bait caster reel here is spooled up with a 30-pound braid. Now, obviously, pike have very, very sharp teeth. So we're using a little wire leader. This one I think is a 20 or 30-pound wire leader. Rod I'm using is a 7'6" medium heavy. It's about perfect for throwing these medium-sized, intermediate-sized baits. There's a lot of things you can use out there. Spinner baits, spoons, spinners. Mepps number 5 is a good choice. A lot of plastic. A lot of times I'll throw like a 4-inch swim bait on a jig rigged weedless, and that works really good too. It's aggressive fish. A lot of times I'll use bright color chartreuses and whites. On this dark day, I'm using a dark bait, something that's a little bit more natural to what they're typically eating out here, which is perch and bluegills as their primary food source. There are a few ducks missing their babies too. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Definitely a pike. Yeah. All right. Come here, you. Yeah. That's exactly what we're looking for today. Just not giant pike, just some activity. This one here is just the perfect size for what we're looking to do, and a lot of people who aren't familiar with pike fishing know them as a bony fish. They're absolutely delicious, but here's the thing. This size here, well, everyone who does pike fish goes, I'd never keep this. It's too difficult to get the Y bones out. Hold on a second. We're going to show you what to do with these things, and going to change your world if you love to eat pike.
All right, so here's the scoop. Let me preface what I'm about to say with this. I am in no way comparing what I'm about to read in Scripture as far as the level of severity directly to my time on the water. I know that any time we can spend on the water is a gift from God, but I think what happens with this sometimes, just like I'm dealing with on this particular day, I went out onto the water expecting to have a great day of walleye and perch fishing. The fish were not cooperating at all. And I think that anytime we set a certain level of expectations on anything, of our desires, our expectations, be it that we deserve it or we should have it or whatever this is, we need to stop and take a break and realize our needs are met. If you wake up and take breath, your needs are met. Here, just being born in the United States of America, we are so blessed beyond measure, and yet I find that sometimes we're the largest population of complaining people in the world. So I'm out on the water, and my expectations are not being met as far as what I have placed on what I thought we were going to do. Catch some walleyes and perch and go have a great fish fry. And I'm reminded of Exodus 16 when we look at the Israelites heading out in the wilderness being led by God, Moses, and Aaron, where they're out there for a little bit and they start to do a lot of serious complaining, saying, oh, we should have just died. We've been led out here into Egypt. We used to be by pots of meat and bread, and now we've been led here to starve and die. But I'm always amazed by how God comes through for our needs when he says to Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven to you. That is, imagine being hungry and have bread raining from the sky, not only for you, but for an entire population of people being led to a promised land by God. That's pretty incredible. But it comes back to listen to these people complain, and we see it through and through and through. Not because God's not providing, not because of the provisions or the blessings, but because of the expectations we set on ourselves. And that's where I kind of find that correlation, that anytime we go out onto the water and fish and we don't meet our expectations, we have to go back to the fact and just take inventory of the fact that being on the water in the first place is truly the blessing. Being born in this country, incredible blessing. Here living in Wisconsin, we have over 10,000 lakes to fish on. Water, incredibly huge blessing. And what I found in this particular day, my expectations weren't met. So I came to a point where I had an opportunity to make a decision. I was either going to be dissatisfied with my expectations being met, or I was going to change my expectations and be grateful for what was given to me. That's why I made the decision to pull the pin on the walleye in perch fishing and move over to these northern pike. Now here, I'm going to take what your expectations are of these small northern pike, and when we talk about this technique and how I clean them and how I fry them up, hopefully I change your expectations of these northern pike, or your viewpoint, to bring a more positive light to it, which ultimately results in what we were hoping for, and that's a great fish fry with family.
Yeah, so we're catching these fish pretty much doing exactly what I thought we'd need to do. Right now I'm in like 5 feet of water. We're just off some pencil reeds. A little bit of cabbage mixed in here with some other vegetation. And as I've gone around, I talked to a couple different guys that fishing's really tough. And you can do one of two things. You can either beat yourself to death trying to figure something out that just ain't happening, or you can just take what the day gives you. And like I said, it's pretty tough conditions today. I think it's going to get better. It's warming up. You can see I took my jacket off. But northern pike, they never disappoint. Never, ever disappoint. I'm just rolling over this flat here, throwing this chatterbait, little trailer on it. I'm using a bluegill color just because I think that's probably one of the main forages. Between this and perch, anything some green with some orange, purple flake in it is always a really good bet. I'm gonna try to get one more. Then we're going in for lunch, maybe a little bit of swimming. That didn't take long at all. Just a couple seconds after we caught the last one. Oh, look at that. Yeah, just a tiny bit smaller, which is perfect, exactly what we're looking for. Whoa. All right. We're just gonna flip him into the boat. Whoa. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Now there's a lot of people, like I said, think, oh, you're crazy. I keep these little pike like this. They're too difficult to clean. Just you wait. Here, oh, look at this one. Here, check this out. Look at, we're on a body of water that's notorious for giant muskies, and it looked like somebody tried to get a hold of him. Perfect. One more of these, and that's perfect for our family to have a heck of a fish fry tonight. All right, so here's our second pike. This one here, 22 inches. This one here is about the maximum of what I would want to do this technique with. Usually for me, about 20 inches and under is the right way to go. Anything bigger than this, I'd want to go and cut the Y bones out. All right, the first thing we're going to do with our pike is we're going to scale it with the back of our knife. Just scrape it up real good. Get all those scales off. A few on the stomach here. Try to work around that musky bite on it. All right, got that nice and cleaned off. A little bit of a mess, so maybe do it on the tailgate of your truck or in the backyard on a table so that your wife doesn't mind. Now I'm going to wash my knife off here. There, washed off. All right, so now I'm going to cut down behind the gill plate. I'm going to turn and I'm I'm going to cut through the rib cage all the way down. All right, so there we are. Now we've got our fillet. Now, cut this rib cage out. Right down the rib cage. Just gonna slice out those ribs, just like that. So now what we have is we have a fillet with no scales on it, still the skin, and no rib cage. Now all the way through here are these Y bones. They run here and back through here, and they're extremely difficult to cut out of a pike this size. They're very small. So actually the trick to getting the Y bones out is by not getting them out at all. Here, let me show you. So we've got our fillet. In every 1/4 inch here, we're going to cut down to the skin. You can just feel it kind of go click, 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 all the way down. We don't want to cut too hard because we don't want to cut through the skin. You might look at this and go, well, this is kind of weird for eating this meat here, but one thing that's really nice about it is that it allows the extra breading and batter to get down to these slices, so it gives you really nice, if you like that seasoning, fish breading is really a good way to go. Now you'll see once you get back down to about this far, there aren't any Y bones in here, so that you can just leave alone. So there, now all those Y bones are in here, but we've cut the meat all the way down to there. So that is perfect.
Hey guys, this really ended up being a neat morning for me personally from a fishing standpoint. Obviously, it wasn't because of the quality or quantity of species that I caught, but it taught me a really neat lesson. We had planned this fishing outing 6-7 months before we had an opportunity to go out there. We rented a family cabin for the week, and we picked this body of water and time of year because our expectation was that we were going to have great weather, and this body of water is particularly good for perch and walleyes. But your expectations aren't always what reality is. I've always loved the saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, and that's exactly what we dealt with here. I couldn't catch a perch or walleye to save my life, but here's where the big difference comes in. We have no control over a lot of things in our life. In fact, most things, if we actually take a moment and realize how little control we have over so much, where we're born, what gender we're born, what health we're born, all those things, just the things we have the control over are so little. But what we do have control over is how we equip ourselves to handle the things that come at us. And for me, I like to equip myself with the Bible. And the further I get into it, the more information and knowledge that it gives me. It helps provide me with a footprint of how I'm supposed to live my life. In this case, I'm so grateful because it took a positive attitude. I took what the day gave me. And what I ended up with was the exact same thing I hoped to achieve by going out and having successful time catching perch and walleyes. And at the end of the day, I was having a great fish fry with my family. Hey, I hope you guys are educated now on the benefits of small northern pike. You're encouraged by the opportunity that anytime that you want to get out on a weedy body of water in northern Wisconsin or a lot of other places in the country that you can still have your fish fry. And I'm also hope that you're encouraged by the Word of God. Hey, with Word on the Water, I'm Justin Geike. God bless you and good luck out there.